In my third year with Julian Hastings, the so-called prince of the capital's elite circles, our relationship was still strictly transactional. Dinner, $5,000. A date, $20,000. One night together, $50,000. One day, I found out I was pregnant. My brain took a few seconds to process. I looked at the refined, distant man across from me and asked bluntly, "Julian, do you have $10 million?" One Julian Hastings was caught off guard by my question. He was wearing a loose hospital gown, but his handsome face showed no sign of pallor. His sharp eyes fixed on me. "What's wrong? Why ask that all of a sudden?" He smirked, a mischievous glint in his eyes that didn't look sick at all. "Planning to earn that $10 million the hard way?" Cough, cough, I nearly choked. "That's not what I meant, of course, I mean. The words, 'if I had your baby, could you give me $10 million?' were on the tip of my tongue when his expression suddenly darkened. "If that's not what you meant, then drop it. There's nothing for us to discuss between us." His cold, heartless demeanor sent a jolt through me. Tusk. How could I forget Julian was strictly anti-marriage and anti-kids? We'd long agreed. No heart-to-hearts, no love, just physical connection. If he found out about the baby, he'd definitely think I deliberately planned it to extort money. Forget $10 million. He might even demand back all the money he'd given me before. Better not risk it. I silently clutched the OB/GYN report tighter, carefully hiding it behind my back. "Oh, never mind then." Julian didn't press further. He never really had feelings for me anyway. He only called me out to be his dinner companion and his bed companion. But this month wasn't working out too well. His $200,000 monthly budget had already run out mid-month. So, the man pinned me tightly against the hospital bed, his lips trailing down from my earlobe. Just as he was about to undo my buttons, I flinched and shot 3 yards away from him. "This month's budget is used up. We can't do that anymore." Julian's handsome face contorted in annoyance. He stared straight at me, throwing his wealth around. "I'll pay extra." "No extra pay. What if it harms the baby for once?" My usual money-loving self refused. Julian eyed me suspiciously. My heart skipped a beat and I blurted out nonsense. I haven't been feeling well this month. Plus, I'm busy with work. I can only keep you company when you're sick. Other than that, it's a no-go." After saying that, I scrambled to leave. Terrified Julian would discover the secret on my phone. He suddenly grabbed my arm, his voice as cold as ever. "So, the only way I get to see you this month is if I'm sick." Thinking about Julian's year-round fitness routine. He was exceptionally healthy. I nodded firmly. "Yes, only when you're sick." Julian's deep eyes darkened slightly. He looked like he wanted to say more. Just then, the doctor walked in with the medical chart. "Mr. Hastings, hello. You just caught a cold from taking a cold shower. It's nothing serious. You can be discharged." A cold shower? Why would this guy take a cold shower in the dead of winter? Is he crazy? I glanced at Julian as if he were an idiot, silently praying the baby would inherit his father's looks. But definitely not his intelligence. "All right, you can leave the hospital now. Let's not see each other for the rest of the month." "See you next month, Mr. Hastings." "See him next month." Yeah, right. I fled home like I was escaping a disaster. Hurriedly packed a few bags, planning to find a place Julian couldn't discover to nurture the pregnancy. My best friend, Chloe Davis, was a bit surprised when she heard the news. You've just decided to keep the baby like that?" "Yeah." I stuffed clothes into the suitcase without hesitation. You know, I grew up an orphan, never really had family. My original plan was to save enough money, go abroad, get IVF, and have a child of my own. Well, now my family has just popped right up besides, with Julian's genes. The baby is bound to be gorgeous. My mind made up, I immediately opened my phone to book a flight. Chloe hesitated slightly. "The month isn't over yet. What if Julian gets sick again and calls for you?" "How could that happen?" I waved her concern away dismissively. "He's strong as an ox, works out every day. How could he possibly get sick twice in 1 month?" Before I could finish, my phone rang. It was Julian's assistant. "Miss Knight, hello. Mr. Hastings has fallen ill again and is hospitalized. Could you please come to the hospital to keep him company?" As if afraid I wouldn't go, the assistant added, "This is within the month's budget. Please come quickly." 4 same hospital, same room. Within 1 week, I had rushed over a total of 7 times. Yes, once a day. Fever today, cold tomorrow, rash the day after, sprained ankle the day after that. After this whole ordeal, I looked at the man covered in minor injuries on the bed. And for the first time, I questioned the physical fitness of this business tycoon. Hey, Julian, is there something wrong with your coordination? Or maybe your balance? Otherwise, how could he sprain his ankle 3 times just leaving the hospital entrance? And twist his arm too? Julian looked up at me coolly. Are you questioning my abilities? No, I said truthfully. I was just questioning his IQ. Could being an airhead be hereditary? I stared at him suspiciously. My gaze drifted down his body, unconsciously stopping at a certain area when the man suddenly reached out and pulled me towards him forcefully. His masculine scent overwhelmed me. Before I could react, Julian tilted my chin up and kissed me hard. MMPH? MMPH? His movements were too rough. I'd been suffering from morning sickness lately. Suddenly, a wave of intense nausea hit my stomach. I struggled to push him away, but his grip tightened, holding me firmly against him. While forcefully grinding against my lips, he ground out through clenched teeth, "Can't even touch you anymore." Splat, I threw up. An unidentifiable liquid sprayed all over Julian's clean white hospital gown. He almost exploded in anger. "Summer night, do you hate me that much? You actually threw up while kissing me." I couldn't explain it to him. It was impossible to explain. Seeing his furious expression, the undisguised disgust in his handsome eyes, an idea suddenly struck me. Yes, I'm just sick of you. I don't want to play your games anymore. Let's break up. Julian didn't try to stop me. He stared at me coldly for a long time, then slowly asked just one question. "Summer night, are you sure you know what you're saying?" His deep, powerful voice was full of pressure. And then, bleck, I threw up again. And this time it was much more violent. I almost vomited bile. Tusk, tusk, tusk. Julian had such an explosive temper. Why did the baby have to inherit such a volatile personality? I was busy retching my guts out, and didn't notice the hurt in Julian's eyes. By the time I realized, he was already gone from the room. Only his assistant remained, holding out an unlimited black card. "Miss Knight, Mr. Hastings said this is your breakup settlement. A tycoon is a tycoon. So generous even when breaking up." But, watching his limping figure walk down the hospital corridor, why did I feel a pang of sadness? 7 in the taxi on the way to the airport, Chloe listened to my story and stated confidently, "Honey, you've fallen for him. How is that possible?" I clutched my stomach, nearly throwing up again. Took a sip of water to calm it down, then said resentfully, "It was just a transaction between us. How could I possibly fall for him?" Chloe pouted, saying nonchalantly, "You don't need to feel embarrassed. It's obvious he likes you too. Otherwise, why would he give you a black card? He's got more money than he knows what to do with." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Likes me. Julian Hastings likes me. Impossible. Don't talk nonsense," I forced myself to say, swallowing the sour feeling in my throat. "He's never been nice to me, always so cold. How could he possibly like me? Besides, he was with his previous girlfriend for so many years. Everyone in the circle says she was the one that got away. He hasn't liked anyone since her. How could he possibly like me?" I bit my lip, an unexplainable sadness welling up inside. Chloe sighed. "I don't know what kind of melodrama you two are playing out, but believe it or not, if you called him right now, he'd definitely come find you." "Me? Call Julian? Don't be ridiculous. In 3 years together, I had never called him once. He was so busy, he probably wouldn't even pick up. Besides," I touched my still flat stomach and whispered, "I'm about to leave this city. We won't see each other again." Before the words left my mouth, the car was jolted by a massive impact. My body lurched sideways and I quickly lost consciousness. I woke up in the hospital. As I opened my eyes, a nurse holding a chart looked at me with envy. "You're so lucky. It was such a bad accident, but you only got a scratch on your forehead and a bit of shock. Nothing else is wrong. But your boyfriend is so worried about you, he insisted we give you a full checkup." "Hey, how did you find such a handsome and caring boyfriend?" "Boyfriend? Who? Do I even have one of those?" As I stared blankly, Julian suddenly strode in. He looked travel-worn, his usually immaculate coat smudged, his deep eyes locked onto me as if trying to pull me in. "That boyfriend? Couldn't be him, could it? The full checkup results are back, right? See, I told you there's nothing wrong with your girlfriend." "Full checkup results?" My whole body tensed. I stared at the man before me in disbelief. Oh God, please tell me he doesn't know. Please tell me he doesn't know. The checkup was just external, right? Not internal. I prayed silently, but my hopes were shattered by the man's deep voice in the next second. Summer night, you've got some nerve. Trying to run off with my child? 9-0 crap. He really knows. What do I do? What do I do? I cautiously eyed the fierce, menacing look on the man's face nearby, remembering the woman he'd had dragged out of his office the first day we met. Her makeup was ruined, her hair disheveled, screaming, Julian, Julian, are you abandoning me and our child? Julian hadn't even glanced at the woman, stating coldly. She got ideas above her station. His cold, ruthless demeanor had instantly attracted me, someone who only cared about money, never emotions. I was inherently afraid of intimacy. A man this cold, ruthless, handsome, and rich, wasn't he just my type? I had happily approached him then. But now time had passed, and now I was the woman about to be dragged out. I wasn't smiling anymore. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead. I racked my brain. Suddenly, inspiration struck. I looked at the nurse, then looked blankly at Julian and asked earnestly, "Who is he?" 10. The nurse froze. Julian froze too. Only I was ecstatic inside. What a brilliant little brain. Julian clearly didn't want this child, nor did he want any connection with the mother. But he had to maintain his image in public, so he couldn't just abandon me here. Therefore, if I had amnesia, it would give him the perfect excuse to gracefully bow out. The nurse, utterly confused, started flipping through the test results. Did she hit her head? That can't be right. The brain scan just now didn't show anything. Julian frowned, his deep gaze scrutinizing me. You really don't remember who I am? I shook my head, putting on an innocent and harmless expression. Sir, who are you? Are you perhaps a kind passerby who saved me? Seeing that I was all alone and pitiful, you said you were my boyfriend. You're such a good person. Damn you, Julian, I've laid the path out for you so perfectly. Just nod your head, and we can call it even. Who knew? Julian looked at me for a long moment, then suddenly a smile touched the corner of his lips, as if he was amused and annoyed. Amnesia, is it? Don't remember me, huh? He suddenly leaned down, pressing down on the hand I was about to reach for money with, wanting to repay him. His strong male presence trapped me firmly between his chest and the headboard. Lowering his head, he whispered a few words softly in my ear. I'm your fiance, baby. 11. Fiance, my foot. I looked at the man's deadly serious expression. For a moment, I didn't know if my brain was scrambled or his. But calling out his lie now would mean admitting I wasn't faking amnesia. Wouldn't that make things even harder? I had to bite the bullet and ask, Do you have any proof? My mind is blank right now. I can't just take anyone's word that they're my fiancé. Julian answered crisply. You have a burn scar on your right arm, 3 centimeters from the shoulder. There are a few hickeys on your collarbone that I put there 2 days ago, and, the man narrowed his eyes, a mischievous glint in his smile. There's a mole on your inner thigh, a red one, very kissable. Stop, you win. What the hell? This man, usually silent and only focused on business. How did he remember these details so clearly? My face was beet red, but Julian just had to add fuel to the fire, pulling open my hospital gown with his large hand, feigning a caring, hypocritical look. Words alone aren't proof. Let's take a look. Just as the button was about to come undone, the nurse's footsteps echoed from the doorway. His long leg was between mine, his upper body leaning entirely against my chest. If he took off my clothes too, I'd be front page news tomorrow. Amnesiac unwed mother's hospital tryst with stranger. I was utterly defeated. Couldn't play this game at all. I quickly grabbed Julian's hand and nodded vigorously. I believe you, fiancé. Hello, nice to meet you. Julian finally released me, kissed my earlobe, and said lightly, All right then, let's go home, fiancé. 12. While Julian went with the nurse to handle the discharge procedures, I clutched the buttons on my chest, still shaken. This man was insane. Actually spouting nonsense about being my fiancé? Was he planning to marry me? Impossible. While Julian was away, I rambled on to Chloe, complaining. Chloe's voice was calm on the other end. It's not impossible, sweetie. You can't just reject intimacy because of your childhood trauma. Maybe Julian really wants to build a family with you, have a baby. Have a baby? Suddenly, alarm bells went off in my head. Could Julian's whole elaborate act be about taking the child and getting rid of the mother? Could it be? He did mention a couple of days ago that his parents wanted grandchildren. Chloe sounded a bit exasperated on the other end. Honey, it's not like Julian lacks women willing to have his children. He must like you too. I quickly cut Chloe off. That's not necessarily true. After all, I have such good genes. Young, pretty, smart, kind, sexy, understanding. After the string of adjectives, Chloe fell completely silent. Seriously, go get your head checked again. An image flashed in my mind. Julian's handsome face slightly tensing when he saw the pregnancy report, his fingers trembling uncontrollably. This solidified my conviction. He just wanted the damn child, not me. No, I definitely couldn't take on the immensely powerful Hastings family alone. I had to find a way to stop him from taking the baby. Chloe, I need to find someone to rescue me. Chloe paused for a few seconds, then instantly understood. Are you sure you want to ask him? 13, yes. Actually, I wasn't entirely an orphan. I did have some relatives, though not by blood. Noah Ashford was the older brother figure I adopted at the orphanage when I was a kid. He had a terrible temper, but he was always warm and kind solely to me. Later, he was adopted by a family, went abroad to study, started his own successful business, and achieved financial independence. He even asked if I wanted to come join him. But by then, I had already met Julian. Although the guy had a bad temper, he gave me $200,000 or $300,000 a month. I wasn't short on cash, so I refused. I remember that day, Noah, who usually never stopped talking, was silent on the phone for a long time. Then he said, "All right, well, if you're ever unhappy, come find brother Noah. We'll always be brother and sister." Memories flooded back, and tears streamed down my face. I still had such a brother. I sent him a message, and he replied quickly, "I'll finish up what I'm working on. I'll be there to pick you up in 2 weeks at the latest." 2 weeks. Enough time for me to give Julian a good run for his money. 15 that evening, in the master bedroom of Julian's villa. Julian looked at the basin of foot-soaking water in front of me and chuckled, exasperated again. What's the meaning of this? I stared back at him with wide eyes, completely unafraid. You're my fiance. Isn't it right for you to wash my feet? Serves you right for lying to me. Fiance? What kind of person treats their sugar daddy like a fiance? Although I didn't usually have to do such chores, I always knew my place around Julian. Even a frown from him would make me tremble and serve him carefully. Never mind exceeding the monthly payment, I even had to provide companion services. Watch me get it all back today. The tables were about to turn. Julian raised an eyebrow at me, as if saying, "Getting bold, aren't you?" But looking closely, his eyes held more surprise and indulgence. My courage grew a little. Using the amnesia excuse, I launched into a tirade. "You're not willing? Really? Then you're not much of a fiancé." The next second, Julian Hastings, always pampered and privileged, knelt down straightforwardly. His broad palm covered the top of my foot, his movements gentle and meticulous. Comfortable, fiancé. He was actually washing my feet? The great CEO Hastings? This news would definitely sell for a good price. But why did this foot washing feel increasingly wrong? The man's long fingers brushed over the surface of my foot, his fingertips tracing patterns lightly, like a feather tickling my heart. I couldn't help but shiver. His fingers moved upwards, touching my calf, tracing gentle strokes. I almost screamed, "Damn it, it's all because I've been eating too well lately. It's only been a few days," and his teasing almost made me surrender completely. I took a deep breath and gave Julian a light kick, splashing water onto his pristine white shirt. I felt a moment of panic. He was an absolute neat freak, and I'd splashed foot water on him? Way to go, summer night. This isn't just pregnancy, it's playing with fire. Who knew Julian didn't get angry at all? He even took a soft towel first and gently dried my feet, gentle and meticulous. Done. Watching the man turn and leave to empty the foot basin, for the first time, I felt this world had truly gone mad. 16 Boldness grows with practice. Ever since Julian indulged my deliberate making things difficult that night, I started pushing my luck even further. If he didn't cook the meal, I wouldn't eat it. If he didn't draw the bath, I wouldn't bathe. I wouldn't even step on the bedroom floor unless he cleaned it. Anyway, I was his fiancée now. Not the pay-by-the-hour kept woman I used to be. Men should treat their fiancés better, right? In just a few short days. The usually aloof and refined Prince of the Capital was exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. Even the housekeeper at the villa couldn't stand it anymore. He came forward to persuade me, "Miss Knight, please leave some work for the servants. All the visible chores are being done by the young master. You can't just order the young master around like this." Honestly, in the past, I would never have dared to order Julian around like this. I knew my place as a kept woman. But now watching Julian meticulously hang my clothes, piece by piece, into the walk-in closet, his movements clumsy yet earnest. He really did resemble an ordinary husband helping his wife with housework. It was fun, for someone like me who had never experienced family life. It felt like playing house. I always thought married life was supposed to be chaotic. Julian curved his lips into a smile, his usually cool and detached face full of indulgence. "It's fine. Their salaries continue as usual. You all can consider this a vacation period. Follow Madam's instructions for all work arrangements." The housekeeper paused. "Madam?" Previously, without Julian's word, everyone in the villa called me Miss Knight. He got into character really fast. Julian glanced at him, and the housekeeper immediately beamed. "Thank you, Mr. Hastings and Mrs. Hastings. Julian, add a 50% raise to their salaries." Housekeeper, "Yay me, must have money to burn." 17, but Julian's temper wasn't always this good. For example, at night I snuggled against him, shifting restlessly, unable to get comfortable. Half asleep, I mumbled, "Julian, move that pole away." "Julian," in my daze I heard the man's husky voice. "Don't move around." What the hell? Daring to order me, is that something a fiance should do? My temper flared, even though I wasn't fully awake. I absolutely had to battle it out with this damn man. He told me not to wriggle, so I wriggled back and forth. The man's breathing grew heavier. I pressed my head against his chest, feeling his heartbeat quicken. He couldn't hold back anymore. He pinned me beneath him, his strained voice tinged with rare impatience. "Summer night, don't play with fire." "Not now." What not now? All I heard was him yelling at me. Tears streamed down instantly. "You yelled at me, you actually yelled at me." The more I cried, the more wronged I felt. Even Julian was caught off guard. Why are you crying?" I didn't know either. I just felt incredibly wronged, and wanted to cry. Much later, I learned it was the pregnancy hormones acting up. Emotions could explode easily at any given moment. The impatience in Julian's eyes slowly melted into tenderness. On the large bed in the dead of night, he carefully picked me up and coaxed me. Okay, I didn't mean to yell at you. Be good, don't cry." As he spoke, he gently kissed my lips. Drowsily, I felt the heat in my body subside a little, so I pointed to my collarbone. "Kiss here." Gently, no marks allowed. Mind you, in 3 years together, Julian loved leaving marks on me, but this time he really obeyed. His lips brushed against my collarbone, exceptionally gentle. Greed takes over at certain moments. A little lower, further down. Time ticked by. Julian finally managed to soothe me, but he was burning hot against my palm, almost about to explode. The man held me in his arms, gripping my hand, coaxing in a low voice. "Baby, help." A wave of nausea surged up. I didn't hold back, vomiting directly onto Julian. He ground his teeth. "Summer, night." I cut him off directly. You're so annoying, get away from me." After feeling better, having something hot next to me became incredibly irritating, plus the vomiting. I felt agitated and kicked him again. Low gasps repeatedly echoed in the room. Once, twice. I don't know how long passed. A low sigh came from Julian. "Got it." Late at night, something cool wiped my lips. I was lifted up to rinse my mouth, feeling much better. I quickly fell into a deep sleep. Vaguely thinking, being Julian Hastings' fiancé was actually quite nice. Much better than being his kept woman. 18 early the next morning, Julian had already left for work when I woke up. On the table sat the latest designer bag and the pink diamond I adored. The maid pushed them towards me, saying with great sympathy, "Madam, I saw Mr. Hastings leaving for work with dark circles under his eyes. Would you consider visiting him at lunchtime?" Tusk. Even the maid couldn't bear to watch anymore. As I scooped the seafood congee from the bowl, I vaguely felt I'd been a bit too much lately. After all, Julian was being so nice to me only because he thought I had amnesia, mostly for the baby's sake. But, well, I was planning to leave with the baby soon anyway. Maybe tormenting him like this wasn't great. Counting the days, my brother was coming to get me soon. We didn't have many days left together. Maybe I should be nicer to him, lest he actually chase me abroad. And so, I took the lunch the cook had prepared and went to Julian's company. I had smooth passage all the way. Just as I was about to reach Julian's office, a familiar figure suddenly flashed before me. Chloe, 19, my best friend and my sugar daddy. Couldn't be. What was I thinking? I could distrust men, but never my sister. I knew Chloe and Julian wouldn't have anything going on, but I was still curious about what they were discussing. So I sneaked closer and heard Chloe's surprised voice. Are you really playing along with her amnesia game? Julian's voice sounded tired. What else can I do? Let her toss me aside like a toy? What does he mean, I toss him aside like a toy? He was the one who wanted to toss me, hey? Wait, he knew I was faking amnesia. Then why was he still playing along? That cunning man. I strained my ears to hear more. Chloe chuckled. Don't blame Summer too much. She just lacks security because she never had family growing up, so she has no faith in relationships. Julian gave a low hum. That's why I didn't use those mature, cliché methods when I pursued her. Chloe stated confidently. If you had, you definitely would have scared her off. Yeah, Julian sighed deeply. Knowing she disliked intimacy, I pretended to be a huge player so she could use me and date me without any reservations. I even hired an actress. That woman who was dragged out by Julian's men that day, his supposed unforgettable ex. He hired someone to play that role? What the hell? Does this guy have too much time on his hands? But Chloe spoke up at that moment. You constructed the exact kind of relationship Summer wanted most, which is why she was able to take the initiative towards you. I suddenly froze. So, Julian did all this, just so he could be with me back then. 20 because I was abandoned by my parents when I was very young. When I got a bit older, Noah also left with his adoptive parents to go abroad. I truly had very few relationships in my life, but it seemed like everyone eventually left. Every time I felt abandoned, the pain was heart-wrenching, so it was better not to start at all. That's why I never dated. Compared to romance, I preferred a relationship completely dominated by benefits. That way, the investment wouldn't be too much, and the departure wouldn't be too painful in the future. Therefore, after getting together with Julian, I got used to putting a price tag on everything. Dinner, $5,000. Going out on a date, $20,000. Chatting with him on the phone, $40,000. Sleeping together, $50,000. Julian always agreed, seeming even more satisfied with this arrangement than I was. So my final reservations were dispelled, and I happily immersed myself in this relationship. But I never imagined all of this was meticulously crafted by this man. A relationship model tailored specifically for me. Chloe sighed, offering well-intentioned advice. You two have been together for over 3 years now, and you have a child on the way. Why don't you just talk things through directly? No, Julian refused firmly. He sat in his executive chair, looking slightly weary, but his expression remained resolute. If the relationship progresses too quickly, Summer won't adapt. Honestly, whether there's a child or not doesn't matter that much to me. It's the amnesia thing. I really hope she can use this fiance excuse to relax, to whine at me, throw tantrums, ask for things. Slowly, he paused. The fondness in his tone made my heart pound, like a magnificent firework display. Truly adapt to my love. 21 on the way back to the villa, I got a call from Chloe. Honey, I heard you've been a bit emotional lately. Let me take you to see a doctor. There are many things to pay attention to during early pregnancy. I paused, then interrupted her. Chloe, do you think I should give it a try with Julian? I mean, for real. After saying it, I felt much calmer than I had imagined. I used to think things like love were the end of the world. If even parents could abandon their children. What relationship in the world couldn't be abandoned? But right now, I didn't really care about all that. I felt Julian's love. And I wanted to try responding. Chloe is incredibly perceptive. She immediately understood and laughed. Don't be afraid, honey. Go give it a try. I'll always be behind you. Chloe was only willing to help Julian after genuinely seeing his sincerity. In other words, it didn't matter who the man was. Her precious best friend's happiness was the most important thing. Warmth spread through my heart. Just as I was about to say something, I suddenly saw the missed calls and messages on my phone. My temples throbbed violently. This is bad, Chloe. My brother's here. 22 when I arrived at the villa, Noah and Julian were locked in a brawl. Both were tall figures, and it was hard to tell who was winning. I jumped anxiously, instinctively yelling, "Julian, stop!" The nearby servants were stunned. "Please, madam, Mr. Hastings is in a fight against a muscled madman. No less telling him to stop might as well be telling him to go die," but strangely, Julian's fist froze midair. He turned his head, looking at me. His handsome eyes were bloodshot. More than that, they held a sense of grievance. My heart leaped. I quickly stepped in front of Julian. Brother, I misunderstood. He doesn't want to take the baby and leave me. Stop fighting, stop fighting." 23 after Noah listened to my explanation, I looked at him uneasily. Fidgeting with my fingers, I stared nervously at my shoes. "Sorry, brother, I didn't get the facts straight before calling you here. I caused you trouble." After so many years, Noah looked at the young woman before him. She had changed a lot. She no longer acted cute with him like when they were kids. She no longer stared at him with wide, watery eyes. Noah wondered, when did it all change? Perhaps it was the year she cried, clutching his sleeve, asking, "Brother, can you please not go, or take me with you?" Back then, his adoptive parents had only agreed to adopt one child. He had ultimately been selfish. And after that, it seemed, they had just missed their chance. He could only be her brother. "It's okay." Noah's gentle reassurance finally put me at ease. I turned to look at the man who had just taken a punch. Julian lacked his usual spirited demeanor, head hanging low, walking inside without a word. Tusk, so petty. I turned to leave, but then felt bad about leaving Noah alone. Noah seemed to read my thoughts, ruffled my hair, and said, "Since you're okay, brother is relieved. That guy seems to treat you well. Go on. If you ever get married, remember to invite brother Noah to the wedding." Marriage, such a distant word, but maybe it wasn't so scary after all, provided I could coax a certain someone first. I smiled and nodded firmly. "Okay." 24 when I entered the bedroom, Julian was bundled up in the covers like a child. I knew he was angry. Angry that I thought he wanted to take the baby and leave me. People like Julian aren't afraid of giving, but they fear misunderstanding. It's normal, needs coaxing. I went over and tugged at him. "Get up." He didn't move. "Get up." Still didn't move. "Then I'm leaving." I stomped my foot twice on the spot. The figure on the bed sprang up and pulled me fiercely into his arms. "You dare?" He was back to his usual fierce self, but I wasn't scared anymore. I poked his dimple and spoke. Our voices overlapped. "Fiance, want to eat. Do you like him?" Surprise flashed in Julian's eyes. Mainly because I called him fiance. He knew I wasn't suffering from amnesia, so calling him fiance this time meant, "Eat." "Don't like him," overlapping again. I laughed. "He's just my brother, nothing more." The anger in Julian's eyes finally dissipated. "What do you want to eat? I'll go make it." I pinched his cheek. With the misunderstanding cleared up, I felt happier than ever before. I leaned close to his ear and whispered a few words. The man's handsome cheeks flushed slightly. Isn't that inappropriate? Stop pretending to be pure." I pushed him down directly, stripped off his clothes, and started what he had desperately wanted that night. As night slowly fell, I lay in Julian's arms, murmuring softly in his ear, "I like you, Julian Hastings. Just like you like me." After a long moment, a soft chuckle sounded beside my ear. It was the sound of a wish fulfilled.